Hello everyone, my name is Ranger Jasmine here at Lincoln Home National Historic Site. Here at Lincoln Home, we share the stories of Abraham Lincoln and how his time here in Springfield helped him become the person and president that we know today. It was here that he solidified his beliefs on slavery in an 1859 letter saying, "Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under a just God can no longer retain it." As we know, Abraham Lincoln later played a pivotal role in the abolition of slavery in the United States. But he didn't do it alone, and there was still much work to be done. That being said, February is African American History Month, and we here at Lincoln Home would like to celebrate by going beyond our usual stories of Abraham Lincoln and expanding to stories of the courageous African Americans who helped end slavery and also fought for equal civil rights for all Americans in the United States. To celebrate this month, we are going to be doing a weekly Reading with a Ranger series focusing on books covering African American historical figures in history celebrated in our national park sites. We hope you enjoy, engage us in the comments down below, and learn a little bit along the way. Without further ado, let's get started.
Come and sit near, the adventure is here, because it's Reading with a Ranger.
So today we'll be reading Before She Was Harriet by Lesa Cline-Ransome and illustrated by James R. Ransom. So this book is about Harriet Tubman. Have you heard of Harriet Tubman before? She's well known for being born a slave before the American Civil War, escaping to freedom, and then helping other slaves also escape to freedom. But she did a lot more than just that, and we're going to be exploring more about her life in this book, Before She Was Harriet. So let's get started. Before She Was Harriet by Lesa Cline-Ransome, illustrated by James R. Ransom. Here sits an old woman, tired and worn, her legs stiff, her back achy. But before wrinkles formed and her eyes failed, before she reached her twilight years, she could walk for miles and see clearly under a skylit only with stars. Before she was an old woman, she was a suffragist, a voice for women who had none in marriages, in courts, in the voting booth. Before her voice became soft and raspy, it was loud and angry, rising above injustice. This word suffragist, do you know what that word means? Maybe you've heard it before. In case you haven't, the word suffragist is a general term for someone who kind of fights for, advocates, supports voting rights and equal voting rights for others. But in the United States, this usually refers to people who wanted equal voting rights for women. And Harriet Tubman was one of those people. So you can see here it says National American Women's Suffrage Association. And that's also why there are a lot of women in this crowd here, because she's talking about why women deserve the right to vote. Because unfortunately in the United States, women and other minorities did not always have the right to vote. But Harriet Tubman and others helped women and other people gain that equal right. And before Harriet Tubman was a suffragist, though, she was actually General Tubman. Rising out of the fog, armed with courage, strong in the face of rebels and planters and overseers, as they watched fields burn and bridges fall, and 700 slaves stop chopping and start running to women who ferried them to freedom on the Combahee River, turned River Jordan. So here we can see Harriet Tubman leading these people to freedom. So it was a real event that happened under Colonel James Montgomery with the 2nd South Carolina Infantry. Helped save 200 slaves. But before she was General Tubman, she was a Union spy. carrying secrets across battlefields, to soldiers fighting in the Civil War for President Lincoln to end slavery. And so President Lincoln is actually the focus of our site, Lincoln Home National Historic Site, famous for helping end slavery through the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, which officially ended slavery in the United States. Before she was a Union spy, she was a nurse, caring for those hit with bullets and hatred and fear, and tending to them with bandages and words in the bloody dirt of Southern soil. Before she was a nurse, she was Aunt Harriet, daughter of Ben and Rit, who helped her parents flee their master and find their way through woods and streams to the safety of Canada and a new home in the north. Before she was Aunt Harriet, she was Moses, a conductor on an underground railroad with no trains and no tracks, just passengers traveling to freedom, up north through swamps, past slave catchers, across rivers, under the cover of night. So the Underground Railroad, as they mentioned, it's not a train underground, but it's like a network of passageways, of routes, of paths for slaves to help attain freedom. And so Harriet Tubman was known as Moses because she helped these people go on these routes, hiding in safe houses to reach freedom for her people, like how Moses in the Bible helped his people also reach freedom. And she did this seeking the promised land for her people, led by dreams and God and faith, a wisp of a woman with courage of a lion. Before she was Moses, though, she was Minty of Maryland, of one slave owner and then others, who worked her, punished her with lashes, broke her back, but not her spirit. Before she was Minty, she was Araminta, a young girl taught by her father to read the woods and the stars at night, readying for the day. And she'd leave behind slavery along with her name and pick a new one, Harriet. And remember her days as a suffragist, as a general, as a spy, as a nurse, as Aunt Harriet, as Moses, as a conductor, as Minty, and as Araminta, who dreamed of living long enough to one day be old, stiff and achy, tired and worn and wrinkled, and free. And that's the end of our book. We hope you enjoyed it. So that was Before She Was Harriet. We hope you enjoyed this story, and we'd love to hear from you. What did you find most interesting or inspiring about Harriet Tubman's story? Please share with us in the comments down below. And again, if you have any questions or want to learn more about Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad, or women's suffrage, any of those topics that were mentioned in this book, we'll include links in our video description to national park sites and resources that explore more of these topics. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week.